Ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased to have on the end of the phone Angus Ashworth, the Yorkshire Auctioneer, owner of Rydale Auctions. Angus, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, lovely to be speaking to you.
It's great to have you on the line. Now, do you mind if I take you back? I mean, would it be sort of right to say that at the age of 12, you were already going round antique fairs and auctions and buying stuff?
It would be fair. I mean, as a young lad, I used to live in a very rural part of North Yorkshire, up on the moors, and used to have some chickens and I'd wait on a pub and raise a bit of money, and used to go to auctions, buy bits and bobs and various things. So yeah, from a young age, I've always been interested in it.
Now, the one thing that it says you were buying was powder flasks. What on earth are powder flasks?
Yeah, so they are. I mean, my main interest in the sort of military, and that came from, watching sort of Sharp, which obviously, followed the Peninsular War, which obviously started in Portugal and all through Spain and into France. So, and powder flasks basically were quite often the glass or copper, but made out of all sorts of things that would have had your gunpowder in. So in the old days, before you had a bullet, you would have poured your gunpowder down the end of the barrel, if you think, the old-fashioned muskets. And a powder flask would have held that gunpowder. And they come in all sort of shapes and designs and patterns. And, that's a powder flask.
So that's what started it, really.
It was that interest in particularly sort of military history, and in particular sort of fan of that Napoleonic sort of era, and being the sharp books and that sort of thing as a young lad, and that's kind of where it started. And you could keep them up relatively cheap back then, and that's what I started collecting and buying auctions, and then that sort of passion spread. And I did work experience at an auction house from school, and they offered me a job, and that was it, really. I left school and home at 16, and off I went and became an auctioneer.
And then at the age of 20, you decided to switch careers and went to the family engineering and deep-sea diving, deep-sea fishing, business.
So I thought it was time to love the job, but it was time to move on. Although I still continued to do some freelance work. But I joined the family business, which was marine engineering, some trawlers. We used to build trawlers as well, those the boats. And, did that working alongside my dad. But I was also...
You were actually in the British Army from 2003 to 2011 and deployed in Iraq and also Afghanistan. That must have been bit of a time for you, surely.
I was in the reserve forces, so you trained on a Tuesday night and weekends, and then obviously with the conflict, a lot of us were called up and deployed. But I was an infantry soldier; it was what I was trained to do. So just doing our job really. But fascinating times, particularly Afghanistan. I really enjoyed it in terms of, there's great history in Afghanistan. There's, a lot of British history there as well, and from a sort of military history point of view. So, really enjoyed it. Obviously, there's the downside to it, but, ultimately you're there with, a group of your mates, really, that you train alongside and everything else. And in a way, it's probably harder for the people back home than it is for you on the ground, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand. When you came back, was it your dad who said you ought to get back into auctioneering?
I mean, it was obvious. This was always my passion, and Dad was very good about it. Although I was working for him in the business, this was always my passion. And the town where we were, where Dad's business was, engineering, this site came up, and I thought that'd make a great sale room. That was kind of it, really, off the back of the cuff. And in the end of 2010, I signed a lease and just went for it, really. And we had our first sale in about 10 foot of snow, and it sort of grew from there, really. So we're over 11 years in now. It doesn't seem like 11 years. It's been a bit of a whirlwind, but this has always been my absolute passion. I'm very lucky I get to do a job that I love doing.
So how did the TV come about? I mean, I guess Cash in the Attic was the first thing, wasn't it?
So yeah, Cash in the Attic, I wasn't sort of on screen. It was more behind the scenes sort of valuations, and I'd done a few minor things like posh ball breakers, but again, nothing, centre stage. Being a soldier in the King's Speech and stuff like that. But the real sort of TV came along with Antiques Road Trip, BBC Antiques Road Trip, and I got approached by the production company, and they were looking for some younger people within the industry to come on board, and I got sort of interviewed for that and offered a job, and so I've done 3 full road trips and 4 celebrity road trips. So that's kind of how the main TV side of things came along.
Now that's quite a fascinating program because, as you say, a lot of the guys that are on there, the experts, shall we call them, are, shall we say, more mature, and then along you come with a couple of the others, and you're quite young and quite dynamic, especially in the sort of things that you go for.
Yeah, I mean, I was one of the youngest. I mean, they've got a couple of younger ones on now as well. So I'm not the older one, but yeah, they've since got some younger ones on. But at the time, yeah, I think I was the second youngest on there. And I suppose there's not many people, at that point I was in my mid-30s, and there's probably not many auctioneers in their mid-30s with their own auction house, in the industry. And at that point, I'd already got, 20 years experience nearly. So yeah, and it was great fun doing road trips, and really enjoyable program to do. I mean, what's not to love? You get to drive around in a classic car buying antiques. I mean, it's wonderful.
Sounds like a lovely day out, doesn't it, really, the way you put it
there. It does, yeah.
Now, the auction house program, Yorkshire Auction House, and Rydale itself, the show is a little bit different to most of the antique type programs because you actually do the total house clearance in most cases. How do you find that? I mean, is it easy doing it?
It's not easy in the fact that the difference is when you go and do road trip, you're just going off to do that, whereas this is very much our business, and therefore there's a lot more pressure on you because it's showcasing your business, doing your job in that sense. But no, I mean, predominantly that's what we do on a day-to-day within the business. And yes, you have the added pressure, you've got film crews and stuff there, and so things are slightly different. But I think the program is very different, I think, to other programs that are on, because, and this was very much a core concept of the initial series, was we didn't want it to be about the money. And yes, we're a business and we're there to make money, but every other program's how much profit is there, how much is this worth, and you get to see what stuff makes on the program, but it's more about people. The people, the stories, and the items, and I think that comes across. And at some point, it doesn't matter who we are, we all probably will have to go through this process at some point in our lifetime if, we're going to have a property that we need to clear, or, we'll either be at that stage in our life when we're downsizing and we've got to get rid of some stuff, or sadly, we're handling it when a close relative's passed away. So I think it's something that everybody can relate to, the program, because at some point we all are going to have to go through that process in some form or another.
One of the things that I find absolutely fascinating, and I hope it's not just for the TV, but it's when you find something which you sort of go, oh my goodness, look at this. Did you know you got this? Does that happen a lot?
It happens a lot more than what you think. And, you'd think with all these programs, people would be a lot more aware. But generally what happens is, and this doesn't matter if it's TV or non-TV, I mean, it's, like today I'm out doing calls, and what you find is quite often the bits that people sort of go, oh, we've got this, and you're like, oh, that's going to struggle, the market's not good. What's that there? And they're like, oh, that's just rubbish, you don't want that, And it does happen on a daily basis. And it's funny, you always seem to find that nobody values what's in the garden or in the garage. They think because it's out there, it's not worth anything. And quite often the contents of the garden can be worth more than the contents of the house. But people just don't consider it because it's outside. So, yeah, it does happen more often than not. And it's always nice to find something, isn't it? That, and that's what makes my job amazing. One, you're meeting different people and seeing different houses. But two, you just don't know what you're going to find next. And sometimes you go into a house and you think there's not going to be much here, and then you find an absolute gem of something. And I think that's why I love the job so much. It's every day's a bit of a treasure hunt.
When you're doing the job and you're actually on screen, it's very evident that there is a good team that back you, both back at the auction house and also on the road with you. You must be extremely close with these guys.
Yeah, we've grown as a business, and a lot of my staff have grown with me, and the numbers have grown over that period of time. And we do have a very close relationship. Probably different a lot of organisations, but we've gone from a few people to nearly 30 people, and I suppose I'm very laid back in the way I manage things, and I like people just to be left to do their job. We all know what we're doing, and no, we do have a good relationship. But I suppose I've done, I started, as a porter and sales assistant all those years ago. So I've done sort of every job, so I can sort of understand all the roles of the business as well. And we have a great team, and we get on, and everyone has their quirks, and we have a good bit of banter. But I think that's also a bit of good Yorkshire folk as well. Although we do have people from non-Yorkshire working for us.
No, you don't. I don't believe you.
Oh, we do, yeah. We've even got Jo. She's from Wales, and Andy's from Zimbabwe, and we've got a few Southerners, but we don't advertise that much. But
no, you don't.
No, it's a good, nice feel to the place. We have a nice working relationships, and that's you want to be able to enjoy work, and I think if you can enjoy the job you do, and then that's one of the big battles, isn't it?
The job of an auctioneer has changed so much, because I guess way back, well, not that far back actually, all you had to worry about were the people in front of you and maybe somebody bidding on phone. But now you can have so many people bidding online. Watching those programs and watching you going, oh, we got another bidder online and another. It must be amazing trying to keep up with all that.
Yeah, I mean, it has evolved a lot. When I first started auctioneering over 20 years ago, there was no such thing as internet bidding. It was, like you said, people in the room. You might have the odd telephone bid or commission bids where you bid on behalf of the clients. They're written on your book. And now, I've got commission bids, I've got 2 internet bidding platforms, in front of me, 2 screens, you've got the room, you've got phones, and, you do get bids in from a multitude of directions. But, it has revolutionised the industry. You can have 500-600 people sat online at some of our sales across the world. Our last big specialist sale, we had 20 people from 22 different countries, and you're selling to the world now rather than local markets, so it's better for the prices, it's better for the vendor that we're ultimately representing. And things don't get missed, they'll gone are the days if something really good has to go to one of the big specialist auctioneers. Somebody in Hong Kong doesn't matter, or even Spain doesn't care if you're selling it in London or the North Yorkshire Moors. So it very much levelled the playing field. And during obviously the pandemic, and that everything went just to the online bidding. So it's still very popular. We sell more to the internet bidders than we do to any other avenue. But you've got to have your wits about you, and you've got bids coming in from everywhere. So keeps you on our toes.
A couple of things I'd really love to ask you about. One is your gavel. I was once told that an auctioneer is given their gavel when they first become an auctioneer, and they should keep that for the rest of their life, and they must never ever give it away or change it. Is that true?
Well, I've never heard that, but I can safely say that I still use the gavel I got when I was 16. When I first started selling, I've got a few gavels, but a customer turned me wood out of wood, which is the one that you see on telly, and he gave me that when I was 16, and I still use it to this day, so I suppose it is true, yes.
And the other thing I must ask you about is being the mayor and councillor for Kirby Moorside.
Yes, well, I'm not anymore. I've sort of stepped back from all of that. But yeah, I did 3 years as the town mayor. I think I'm the youngest mayor that they ever had at the time. I was in, early to mid-30s. And, it was, it was a town level, so it's fairly small. It's not a big national level, so politics didn't really come into it. It was about, local issues. It wasn't any sort of political association. It was more just doing your bit for the local community in the town, and, yeah, it was good. It took, a lot of time, but it's good, and I think it's great to get younger people into that sort of thing and have a steer in the way things are done. And it was good insight into, how things happen, and a lot of things that we take for granted that just get done or don't get done. And it's learning the mechanics of that. So yeah, I enjoyed my time and sort of promoting the town and representing the town as well. I'm very much for supporting local causes and promoting the area as a whole. So yeah, it was very interesting.
There's no plans then to move down south and open an auction house there?
No. I've travelled the world and what have you, but yeah, I don't think you could get me out of Yorkshire really. And we go all over for work, and we do a lot of work in Scotland. But where we are is very much home to me. And actually nowadays, with the internet bidding, it doesn't really matter where you are. So yeah, I think we'll stay in my beloved North Yorkshire moors, and we're very settled. We live there and got a young family and everything. So no, we won't be moving.
Angus, it's been absolutely brilliant talking to you. I didn't want to ask you all the usual questions about, the most expensive thing or the worst thing or anything like that. I wanted to find out a little bit more about you, so I'm glad we've been able to do that.
No,
I shall be watching you on TV tonight, hopefully. So,
all right, okay.
We do watch you here. This is one of the reasons for doing this, is because the program gets watched by so many people. But once again, thank you so much for your time. I know you're incredibly busy, and all the best for the future.
No problem. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Goodbye for now.
Cheers. Bye. Bye. Bye.